One of the biggest pop culture questions out there, right along with what is your Hogwarts house, is what's your starter Pokemon? Whether you're the oldest millennial in the room or a newborn baby, this is arguably one of the most important decisions you'll make in your entire life, because everyone out there will judge the living crap out of you. So, which generation of Pokemon offers the best trio to choose from? Well, there's only one way to decide, by ranking them, of course. So every single generation of Pokemon is on the chopping block here, and I'm gonna put them in the definitive order from worst to best. And of course, by definitive, I mean this is just my opinion, so don't take this too seriously. It's all fun. Even the guy who's helping me write this video right now is completely disagreeing with me, so there's that. But before we begin, some parameters. These are decisions made on an initial reaction, so we won't be deciding based on their competitive prowess, in-game efficiency, or the strength of their final evolutions. I'm just gonna go straight from the hip. So without further ado, welcome to Pokemon Starter Trios Ranked. All right, so we're gonna tackle these starters chronologically. So we're kicking things off with Kanto, and the first group of starters many of us ever met. And since all of you know that I am a Gen 1er by default, you already know that I freaking love the Kanto starters. Many of us have been awestricken at how absolutely badass Charizard ends up becoming, but Charmander makes its mark as a cool and charming lizard. Those sweet eyes and grin with arms spread wide open, just asking for a hug. Oh man, I love him. Plus it has a little flame on its tail. You want something to be cool, just add fire. Well, it's a house. Don't add fire to houses. That's just arson. Of course, we've got Squirtle, and while at first it's a little underwhelming, it's very, very cute. Squirtle is a turtle that squirts, and that's all it really needs to be. And the anime even showed us that some Squirtles can exude some serious attitude. Squirtle Squad was the definition of the late 90s. The best boy of the bunch by far for me is Bulbasaur. Not only is Bulbasaur my favorite starter, it is my absolute favorite Pokemon of all time. It's just that perfect combination of cute and tough. I can easily imagine myself battling with Bulbasaur and cuddling by the fire with it. Not too close though. We gotta keep those weaknesses in check, yo. Nostalgia is a strong beast, and it is in full force here with the 3 OGs. They also have the added benefit of being the starters of the only time in my life where I actually watched the anime. I know more about these starters than all of the rest combined. However, while I do want to rocket them right to the top, I'm slapping them down as the team to beat squarely in the center. We still have 8 more generations to go, and there could be some surprises. Next up is the Johto region, which is one of the coolest regions in all of Pokemon. The combination of Japanese lore and expanding on everything the first game set up is pretty remarkable, which is why it's a shame that none of these starters are really that important to me. Let's start out with the least offensive one, with Cyndaquil. I like the flames bursting out of its back, but beyond that cool bit of flair, it strikes me as rather uninspired. A starter should feel unique, and I can get plenty of rodent Pokemon across every game. Things kind of go downhill from there a little bit. I mean, what the hell is Chikorita? Is it a combination of a bean and a dinosaur? Maybe some bananas? I don't want a bean as my closest companion. The only thing I like about Chikorita is that it is the perfect shape for me to kick it as far away as possible.
Ready up? Kick the baby! Kick the baby!
Finally, we have Totodile. Normally, I'm all about the reptiles, but nowadays, Totodile feels like something you'd see out of Five Nights at Freddy's. Those white eyes combined with that big open toothy mouth is kind of nightmare fuelish, bringing me back to some of my least favorite completion experiences of all time. Gold, Silver, and Crystal are fantastic games. Heart Gold and Soul Silver are arguably some of the best Pokemon games of all time, but for me, it's not because of those starters. I'm gonna put them right under Gen 1 for right now, but don't be surprised if the Johto trio winds up significantly lower as things progress. Okay, so at this point in my Pokemon career, if you will, my interest in the franchise was fading pretty quickly. Essentially, the second generation piggybacked off of the first games. But Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald were the first games in a completely new region that wasn't connected at all to the first games. Now, I was in high school and I wasn't all that interested in Pokemon anymore. And the Hoenn starters didn't help things either. I think this is because they just seem like animals and they don't really have anything that makes me think they stand out all that much. Trico is just a gecko. Torchic is just a chicken. And Mudkip is just an axolotl. I mean, look, those things are really, really cute. But to me, what's in my mind is that meme of, I heard you like Mudkips. And really, that's where the influence of this trio ends for me. Since there was more cultural impact and these things strike me as a touch more interesting overall than Gen 2, I guess I'll put the Hoenn starters right above the Johto starters, but just barely. I didn't say you guys were gonna like this video. All right, so Generation 4 was the one that brought me back to Pokemon. I love these games and the new competitive edge they brought to Pokemon. But what I really love are your options for starters, because for the first time on this list, it's actually tough for me to choose a favorite. Okay, it's Piplup. I guess it wasn't really that hard, but it is an incredibly tough choice for me overall. I personally dig Piplup for how adorable it is with that tiny beak and that big, round, doofy, yet determined head. Penguins are awesome, and Piplup is awesome. My favorite Gen 4 Pokemon for a reason. However, Turtwig and Chimchar are equally awesome in their own rights. Turtwig's eyes are full of hope while still just looking sturdy as a rock. And Chimchar is the fiercest fire monkey I've ever seen. And you all know how I feel about monkeys. Hey, Biscay! I know I said I wouldn't mention in-game effectiveness, but I really like how all three of these Pokemon can take on the first gym, even though it's a rock gym. And you'd think Chimchar would be screwed, but they balanced it out here with a fighting type move. It just feels like there was a lot more thought put into this trio. All right, this is a tough call, but I'm gonna put the Sinnoh starters right below the Kanto ones. Although this is an absolute step in the right direction, these three are still being beaten out by my own nostalgia. The hell of a drug, you guys, but these are still some great starters. The 5th generation of Pokemon is a controversial one. It seems to me that people either hate it because of a more mature story and no returning Pokemon, or they're correct. But we're not concerned about any of that, since we're only talking about the Gen 5 starters. And much like the rest of the generation, Game Freak took some bold design choices, and personally, I love them. This is the first time that I can definitely see a distinct personality in each of the starters. Yes, they all have plenty of personality in the show, but I don't watch the show. I can glean everything I need to know about these Pokemon from their designs. Tepig is a happy-go-lucky starter with big eyes and a smile. It's an adorable piggy that can bring home the bacon in terms of melting your heart with its sweet snout. Then there's Snivy, who's probably the most smug-looking Pokemon out there. There's a reason it was called Smugleaf when it was first released. The half-closed eyes and that small smirk make for a starter that is completely unique, all from the rest. And finally, we have Oshawott, who's probably my favorite of the three. With that little frown, those sweet eyes, and those extended arms, I can tell it just wants a little hug. Add a shell on its belly because it's based off of otters, and you have what may be the cutest starter of them all. Not to mention my favorite starter in Legends, Arceus. Arceus? I'm probably wrong. Either way, it's just a shame they have to evolve because I like these designs way more than their evolutions. Fortunately, I'm not deciding the strongest starters or which have the best final evolutions. I'm choosing my personal favorite initial starter trios, and I'm putting the Unova starters just above the original three. Yes, none of them turn into Charizard or Swampert, but these three charm the hell out of me. And if you can't reward the cuteness like this, dare I say you may be broken. You can't really go wrong with Snivy, Tepig, or Oshawott. After the highest of the highs, it's time to bring us back down again because we're going to talk about the Kalos starters. They have some of the most interesting final evolutions, but their first forms leave a lot to be desired. Let's start with Chespin, and I wanted to ask you, what is Chespin? Is it a chipmunk? A groundhog? After doing some research, I learned that I was very wrong. Chespin is a hedgehog, and I have to say, definitely don't see it. Now, in my obviously professional gaming opinion, hedgehogs either have a bunch of spikes for defense or are blue and can run really fast. But instead of either of those, we have a rodent in a green hoodie that looks like it's about to teach me how to stay away from drugs, kids. Fennekin's kind of worse for me. What's coming out of its ears? Does this fox need a vet? Also, why am I getting sexual vibes from it? Especially when it's just a fox, not even humanoid yet. Maybe that says more about me than Pokemon, but still, I'm not ready for it. And lastly, there's Froakie. And Froakie is fine, I guess. It's a blue frog that is better than the other two, but only because I have no questions about it. It's based on ninjas, so that's cool. It has a backpack made out of foam that it secretes from its back and cheeks. Sounds gross when you talk about it like that. Overall, all three of these Pokemon are exceptionally down the middle of the road for me. I don't find myself really wanting to use any of them despite having clear utility. I just get filled with more questions than answers. Like, which cheeks does Froakie secrete from? Why is that fox giving me wonton eyes like Nala from The Lion King? You know what? Forget I mentioned that. Let's just put them above the Hoenn starters and move on. Gen 7 was probably the hardest one for me to place on this ranking list because it has what I may consider to be the best designed Pokemon amongst the 27 mentioned here. Rowlet is a perfect gentleman. Based off of the barn owl, Rowlet's outer wing looks like a jacket, while the leaves in the center make it a bow tie. It's like if you had an owl for a butler, which is just adorable. And it gets even sweeter when it looks back at you in battle, as if it's asking you, would you like me to f up your opponent? Right away, Mr. Khalil, yes. Seriously, I love this bird, my dudes. but its perfection is not matched by either Litten or Poplio. A lot of people have love for Litten for its final evolution Incineroar, and the fact that it's a cat. That really doesn't do anything for me. Litten is svelte. I much prefer fat, fluffy cats like Perugly, and I really don't like Poplio, like, at all. This is mainly because it's made to look like a clown with a collar and a round nose, which kind of creeps me out.
Hi, Georgie. Aren't you going to say hello?
So how do you win someone over with this? How about making it blow snot bubbles? Now it's creepy and gross. What was it with the water starters and disgusting bubbles? Rowlet is really incredible, but is really brought down by the other two, meaning I have to put the Alolan starters right above Hoenn and below Kalos. Because even though none of the Kalos starters match the peaks of Rowlet, they still don't hit the lows of Poplio. So I was looking for a bigger change from Sun and Moon, and I definitely got it with Sword and Shield. The wild area combined with the best gym experience amongst all the games made for one of my favorite games in the franchise. And a lot of that was aided by mostly great starters. As soon as that grassy gorilla was announced, I knew I was Grookey gang for life. And it's all about beating out the rhythm of the jungle with its stick. Boom. As a former drummer, I am all for it. And admittedly, at first, I wasn't a fan of Scorbunny, but I was actually won over when I was playing so much of Pokemon Unite, where you actually start out as Scorbunny. I love being able to be on a full frontal attack, and that is everything that Scorbunny is all about: speed and power and fire. Being able to start a fire just by running is pretty dang cool in my book. But again, no running in the house. That's just arson. The fire and grass options here are wonderful, but to me, they are really brought down by Sobble. To me, Sobble just looks kind of pathetic. It is a Pokemon that is known for crying, and while I'm not saying you shouldn't cry, please express yourselves, everyone. When I have a monster that's by my side that's supposed to defend me from other wild animals, I don't want something that looks like it's going to pee his pants. Pokemon should be brawling, not bawling. You can quote me on that, but I want to be clear. If you are a man, even if you're a macho man, ooh yeah, it's okay to cry. Let it out. Although I'm not as over the moon about Sobble, Grookey and Scorbunny are more than enough to put the Galar starters in the top half of my list, but not quite above Gen 4. However, there is one more surprise group of entrants that was just announced recently, and since we're just about judging from my gut, I think it's the perfect time to talk about them. So as of this video, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have just been announced, and I couldn't be more excited. I love the looks of the region, I love seeing the Pokemon wandering about, and I am certainly intrigued by all of these starters. I was immediately drawn to Fuecoco, the habanero crocodile. The sparks coming off its head look like a tuft of hair, and I like how it's grabbing its belly, and that big dopey grin is the perfect thing to get me invested in any Pokemon. The fascinating thing is that it doesn't give me Five Nights at Freddy's vibes like Totodile did. Then there's Sprigatito, most commonly referred to on Twitter as the Weed Kitten. And if that doesn't evolve into a giant fluffy CBD-based cat, Game Freak messed up. Last but not least, there's Quaxly. Quaxly joins Quillfish and Quilladin in the Pokemon whose name starts with Q Club. Quaxly's been getting a lot of crap because it looks like a Donald Duck knockoff, but I'm kind of okay with that. Seriously, every Pokemon is based off of something, so why not draw inspiration from the most popular cartoon on the planet? Even then, Donald doesn't have that incredible pompadour, and we're all about the incredible hair here at the Completionist, whether it's on your head or on your face. Overall, I think all three of the new Pokemon are great. My only complaint is that I feel like I have seen them all somewhere before. Crocodile starter, got that. Kitten starter, got that. And seriously, while never a starter, how many water-based birds/ducks do we need? But looking beyond that cynicism, I'm really into all of them. And more than that, I think there's a ton of potential here with these starters. They have officially made me excited for Gen 9, and Holiday 2022 can't come soon enough. So, based on what I've said so far, I'm gonna put these guys right in the middle. And there's all the starter trios ranked. Unova on the top and Johto on the bottom. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you disagree with me, tell me why you love the Pokemon that you love, because that's one of the great things about Pokemon. Each of them is somebody's favorite, even Chikorita. Also, do you have any recommendations for how things you'd like to see ranked next? Let me know. Seriously, this is a new format, a new show, a new thing, and I'm just trying things out. New Game Plus is almost over, and I want to try and get new styles of shows here on the channel, aside from just completing games. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.